Hello, I am Umbrenero and welcome back to Umbrenero's Life. Today's video is my February 2025 Plan With Me. For February, I have seen a lot of lovey-dovey themes since it is the month of Valentine's Day. Well, this year, I am spinning a wheel with various names of different Elite Trainer boxes of Pokemon cards to use as my inspiration for my monthly themes. And for February, it chose the box for Astral Radiance. That means my February theme is going to be a lot of red, black, and a little dark gray. So, without further ado, let's get started. With how busy I can get, I decided to go with the same method for my monthly setup by having a calendar where I can write what is going on instead of having my monthly log. So, I quickly got this set up by taking a black marker and doing all of the vertical lines for the calendar boxes and using a red marker for the horizontal lines. Once I was all done with that, it was time to add the numbers for the calendar. With the colors being red and black as the majority of the colors, I wanted to do something different from last month, and I decided I was going to put some paper in here that I had laying around. I went ahead and ripped the paper to give it a rougher look, and I started to tape it into my journal. I had previously decided that my monthly header would be at the top of the page, which is why I used the red paper here. Once I had that fully taped in, I worked on the black for the right side of the spread. So again, this month is another simple layout for the calendar page. I did do some trimming in advance to make the placement a lot easier for the black paper, but once I had that all placed in, the calendar was finished and it was time to move on to my next section. My goals and things section is usually going to be very simple with just a header and a line dividing the sections. But that is fine because it is something that I have learned that works for me. I wanted to mention here because I immediately went into my weekly logs area. After this, I do not have a habit tracker for February as I didn't really use one in January and I didn't want to take the time to add something that I wasn't going to be using for a second month in a row. And this was fully from realizing my habit of not using it. So why include it when I haven't been using it? But with my goals and things section about done, it was time to get ready for my monthly tarot, my weekly logs, and my migration. Instead of having my monthly tarot on its own page this month, I am including it partially with my weekly logs. Since the first week that I am including for February is only one day, I didn't want the space to be empty. so that meant adding my monthly tarot to the top of the page. Like I did for the header on the previous spread, sorry about that, I took some red and black paper and tore out a square and layered them. In that section, I planned on writing down the 3 cards that I pull for my monthly tarot next to the color box that is being used as my header. As for how I would do my daily tarot, my plan is to do them within my individual weekly logs. But as you can see, I went ahead and drew some dark gray lines dividing up the other half of the page in preparation for my first weekly log for the month of February. My weekly logs are going to be horizontal for February. This means a different layout than my previous month of January. The easy way to do my weekly logs is simply to divide the pages into 8 equal sections with a dark gray border between the sections. And since I like to start my weekly logs on a Sunday, that means on the left page it's Sunday through Wednesday, and on the right page will be Thursday through Saturday. And then there's a single empty box, but I have a plan to carry out the theme throughout the month. So first things first, I did go through and divide the pages up as I was going because it was easier to have that done in advance than trying to do one set of pages at a time. So for each of the days for the month, I tore out squares of black and red paper, taped them together to make a space to write the date for the specific days of the month. This was repeated for every single day in the month of February. And I am glad that I did a lot of that part off camera because that took about an hour and a half to 2 hours of just tearing out these little squares and getting them the right size. But because I am using tape to hold these in, any mistake that I made with a numbered square put in the wrong place was a very easy fix. So I kept going with the numbers before I went back to fill in that little extra section because I felt getting the numbers put in was going to be more beneficial than anything else at this time. So I was saying how if there's a mistake made, it's an easy fix. Well, here is exactly where that came into play. Because when I was sticking in this week here, I wasn't paying much attention to the fact there was an extra spread of pages in between that I had skipped. And I have a habit of double checking when I start numbering things to make sure I am numbering the correct days, because there have been times where I had screwed up and I rather not have those issues, and I just kept it going, just putting in all of the squares before I was labeling, which meant then, oh, I gotta go back, double check where I'm at, and I start writing, and it's like, wait a second, oh, here's where I made a mistake. So easy, pop off the little red box and swap it around between a couple other areas. But here I decided to put in my little spot for where I am going to put my daily tarot card reading, and simple right at the bottom of the section for that day. Don't need a whole ton of space, and hopefully this will work a lot better. But now it was time to start filling the empty extra space. I used some more of the extra paper that I had and layered it just like the headers I had done previously. And I did it for the rest of the month. However, the final week of the month did not get the decoration, as this was where I decided to put my migration area. So my migration area is extremely simple. It is just the header in the same style that I have been doing for all of my headers for this month, it has seemed. And that's it, because why make it overly complicated when it doesn't need to be? And yes, it is a smaller header than the other ones in the month, but that is fine with me because it doesn't need to be perfect. And with everything completed, it was now time for my final look through my February setup. And it's a very, very simple setup for me, and it's very minimal, but it has the little bits of popped color that will be helpful, and it feels like February for me, which I am all for. So, thank you for watching, and until next time, I am Umbrenero. Bye!